today, instead of our regularly scheduled campaign, we'll be playing a one-page RPG entitled For Sherlock Holmes and a Vampire! Who is also one of the aforementioned Sherlock Holmes. A one-page RPG inspired by Justin McElroy.
You bastard, man.
Justin McElroy. Written by Andrew J. Young, with special thanks to Mary McGuire. Kelvin, since you wanted to do this and I kind of voluntold you to pick out a one-page RPG for tonight, why don't you lead us into the game?
Yes, indeed. So this is a game. Indeed, we all grabbed props. Don't mind us. So this is a game in which your goal is to solve a mystery. It is very rules light. You use some dice to move the story along, but there isn't skill checks or anything. It's just an improv sort of situation. But one of the first things first is that we are all playing a version of Sherlock Holmes.
Dun, dun, dun!
Or a Sherlock Holmes adjacent character. We are going to start by potentially crowning a vampire, because it's actually possible for there to be no vampire. So what we are all going to do is take a d6, which I have on good authority that you all have at least one lying around.
What? A d6?
A d6?
A d6? I'm going to use my time period appropriate clockwork d6.
Yeah. So there's a list of
my Oogie Boogie dice.
I'm rolling a regular yellow six-sided polyhedron. All right. So anyway, there's a list of suspicious quirks that might make you seem a little vampiric, and we are going to roll on a table of those. One of those is that you are actually a vampire. So there could be no vampires. There could be multiple vampires. It's chaos, baby.
Dos vampires.
Everyone roll and figure out what their suspicious quirk is.
Hold on, I'm adjusting aspect ratios. There we go.
I just rolled mine. I'm going to make sure I'm the right distance from my microphone like a good boy.
This is cool. Okay. It's going right down in my notes.
Goon is a vampire, confirmed.
No.
Has everyone got their suspicious quirk and are thinking about how to integrate it?
I'm working on how to integrate it, yeah.
Yeah. So I will be the DM. I'm going to guide the story more than I'm going to actually control the story, because we are technically all players in the system. So to start, I will describe the crime scene, leaving out the crime. I will then pass it to another player to do the next scene detail, which we'll get to in a moment. So we find ourselves in, I gotta move the mic a little closer so I can be on camera still. So we find ourselves in a top floor flat in a very nebulous time period, because I'm gonna guess we all picked vastly different time periods for our characters. In this, there is a beautiful kitchen. There is windows pointing to the rainy outside London. There is a hardwood floor, presumably stained with blood, but only time will tell. And general air of discomfort in this one-bedroom flat. And we are going to have Moss go ahead and roll a d6. You will be given one of two scene details. You can pick between the two of them.
Okay.
Tell me something that has happened, something that is in this flat.
Well, no, first player then rolls scene details.
Oh, I roll scene
one.
detail. Yep. Okay, yeah, that's right. And then you pass it along. I see.
Another player chooses...
You're right.
Which of the two details you roll to incorporate.
Yeah.
And then
so the options are an adult book collection, or the entire thing is vampire themed. Your choice.
Nudies or vampires? Pick your poison.
Vampire theme.
Vampire porn.
Why decide?
Victorian architecture.
Okay, dos.
Gothic.
Yeah. And then Moss, now roll another scene detail and let your choice of Goon or James decide.
Okay. also rolled a 5.
Oh, then we get
Vampire porn!
We do get both.
Okay, so we are investigating the IT guy from Dream Daddy.
I never played that game.
Neither of us.
Nor about
Okay.
You're the only one here who knows what that is.
All right. I guess
damn.
then I will let you. Now that we have established that it's covered in vampire theming and adult novels,
This is the character from What We Do in the Shadows.
yeah. Now that I think about it, I must pick between Goon or James to describe the actual murder.
Good.
So we see a individual hanging upside down from the what's it called when the bed has like poles that go up and then there's curtains surrounding it? It's very gothic. Canopy. We see
canopy bed.
we see a figure hanging upside down from the canopy, not moving, blood dripping from their stomach, and just running zigzagged lines down their chest, over their neck, and water falling off of their chin onto the bed below. Their dick is out.
Oh.
Oh.
Got
It
changed my
was-
notes from him hanging upside down to hanging upside down nude.
You changed the image so.
So drastically.
Was this a stomach wound you said?
Yeah, stomach wound. Their arms, at one point perhaps, were up doing some kind of business, but now lay slack, spread by the delicate architecture of their joints, of their shoulders, in the visage of an upside-down bat.
So, the way this game is going to work is that we are going to, every time we kind of run out of comedic juice, so to speak, I will roll a new clue, which is an object we have found that is more important than the previous clue. That is the rule. No matter what, the newest clue has to be more important than the last one.
Fair enough.
I don't care if it's the same object twice.
I see.
So to get us started, since they're the only one who hasn't done anything yet, why don't we say that James' version of Sherlock Holmes was called in first? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I am played originally by Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, you're playing Notorious
RDJ Sherlock Holmes.
Notorious RDJ Sherlock. Gotcha.
Yeah, hence the drink in the pipe. That's full of vice.
I see.
I step into the scene with my collar popped with a nice tight tie exposed underneath, and I take off my coat and drape it over my arm as I whip out a notebook and a pen, a pencil, a piece of charcoal, and start writing notes regarding the hanging upside down body.
But due to a strange error, you weren't the only Sherlock Holmes called today. In fact, you weren't even the only one in this time period called today. Why don't you pick who has to introduce themselves next?
Moss, why don't you take a roll?
Sure. I stroll up into the room dressed as a paper boy.
Roll to deduce if that's an actual paper boy.
I do believe that it's a little late for the postage, don't you think?
Oh, no, I just swapped clothes.
That still doesn't make sense.
Well, I paid this boy £5 to swap clothes with me.
Care to elaborate?
Well, you see,
Whatever.
as a paper boy, you
What was a paper boy doing out so late at night?
gathering information, of course.
The paper boy is gathering information, or you were gathering
No,
information?
I was.
Dressed as a paper boy.
Yes.
Care to elaborate?
You don't tell us who you're playing.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'm Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes. And who would you like to enter the scene next?
Me again.
Now that's good. Now that's chaotic improv. Yes, and motherfucker.
Well, let's get Noodles.
Okay. So walking in not too long after Enola is a little boy in a red dress. As he goes, all right, this is the play. Hey, you're that girl I traded outfits with.
Good to meet you.
Boy,
Again.
the evening becomes more peculiar by the moment.
So I am playing a member of one of my favorite side things that happens in the original novels. I am playing one of the Baker Street Irregulars, the group of street thugs that gather information and help Sherlock Holmes solve mysteries.
Nice.
So I heard there was some crime happening this way, and I came to investigate. I am a small boy named Wiggins.
Wiggins.
Pleasure to meet you. And he grabs the sides of the dress and curtsies. Wiggins is the name.
Surrounded by children? What's this happening here?
I think that one's an adult.
I may look young, but I am certainly an adult.
I've been told I'm very mature for my age. Oh god, a naked dead guy.
Yes, you might want to avert your gaze from phallic
Gross.
imagery.
Ugh, gross.
Where are your parents?
The hallway
street
just
dog
beyond the
dead or
door.
something.
The hallway just beyond the door starts to crackle with violent electricity as a Terminator-style ball descends into the floor, and and emerging like the Terminator does when he goes back in time is a crouched figure wearing the iconic Sherlock Holmes hat, three-piece suit, and overcoat that is a brown, almost maroon.
It's called a deerstalker hat.
A deerstalk, the iconic
old
Sherlock
deerstalker.
Holmes deerstalker hat with
Famous stalker of deer.
with like light brown sideburns and a long nose and a pronounced chin. A Sherlock Holmes that looks quite different than the notorious version stands up, leans up against the wall, and says, "This smells like London, but of course it can't be the London I know now. Perhaps it was the London that I used to know."
Hello there.
I'm not even going to question this one coming in.
Yeah, honestly,
The name
I'm
is
somehow
Sherlock.
less weird than us. The
My
rest of
name
us.
is Sherlock Holmes, formerly of the 20th century, currently of the 22nd century, and now of wherever we are today.
Charmed, I'm sure. I'm also.
Child, yes.
What's a 22nd?
The 20. It's the number. If you have 2 quid, you have how many pounds?
20?
Yes.
I do know money.
Yes. Add 2 more quid.
Okay.
I feel like this is getting absolutely nowhere.
I take my note out.
It's an incredibly long story. I have been summoned here by some strange circumstance. And
I point
Indeed.
to the dead body.
thank you, child, and I pat you on the head. I
I
take
wait
out
for
my
this approval.
magnifying glass and get to work.
I take out my smaller magnifying lagoon. Why don't we have you discover the first piece of evidence, which I will roll for now?
Oh,
The
yeah.
first bit of evidence is a faded picture.
Faded picture.
You can describe the contents of the photo if you wish.
Let's see here. He runs he quickly tapping his magnifying glass against his pronounced chin, scans the victim, and then cocks his head to the side a little bit and notices a picture on the dresser, a faded picture. Faded by design, it would seem, as this is a recreation of a Victorian-style photograph of a young lady dressed in, why, I might say, a very handsome dress. Yes, although, yes, this is a recreation, not the original Gothic-style dress, as everything Gothic in this room is also a recreation. You, other adults, hold on to this.
There's 3 adults. I'm the only kid.
He hands
believe
it,
he's-
he,
I
he,
believe-
he hands it to Notorious RDJ.
I give a glance as I'm holding my notepad. I'm just looking over at Enola, and I'm just like, I believe he's talking to you.
No, why would I talk to the woman?
Hey, dude, that's kind of.
She's
fucked
clearly
up.
just here. She's here clearly from circumstance. I need you to hold on to this evidence.
Evidence, you say?
Yes.
What makes you believe that the image itself is a recreation of the Gothic style, and not, in fact, a vintage piece of article of clothing?
Elementary, my dear. What was your name?
Well, I do believe that we had failed to introduce ourselves. I am Sherlock Holmes
As am I.
of this time.
Of this time. The
Indeed.
ramifications for the space-time continuum are astounding. As I lived a full life before I was transported to the 22nd century, we must keep our interactions brief. Yes, child.
What is space?
Anyway,
We may as well keep young Wiggins here his inquiries to a minimum.
that's
Yes, Mr.
Wiggins.
yes, Mr.
Yes, I
Wiggins?
had almost forgotten about Wiggins. How could I forget? How are you, old boy? He shakes your hand.
You don't look like the Sherlock Holmes I know. Neither does he, though. So I don't. I get this is where James is on my screen. I don't remember where he is on screen.
A 200-year bath in honey will do this to a man.
I have surprisingly few questions.
Anyway, if you look at the stitching pattern here and here on the photograph, you'd realize that these techniques have not yet been invented
Indeed, these do appear to be a recreation via a machine,
of some
rather
kind.
instead of a hand stitching.
This would be a very simple case in the modern techniques of my 22nd century, but in this day and age, perhaps not.
A sewing machine is something that is typically allotted to seamstresses, some sort of tailor.
Perhaps she's some kind of hobbyist, a recreationer of some kind.
Indeed.
You're
Would
a
make sense
woman. What do you
considering-
think?
Well, I think this must be a woman of wealth.
A woman of wealth. What makes you say that?
Well, to have something this complex and detailed, you would need quite a lot of money to have someone recreate this.
Well, we were positing that maybe she recreated it herself.
Yes, and you would still need the materials and the know-how and...
I concede to you that point.
But
Now,
to further the
This
point,
one's relevant.
yes, child.
The victim's not a girl, I don't think.
Yes. And the fact that this
So-
photo was on his nightstand means that she's rather important to him. This, taps on it, is our lead.
The style of her dress matches the rest of the apartment. Perhaps he was a collector of Gothic things.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, I do notice that as well, amongst the Gothic imagery, there appears to be more of a sinister imagery as well.
Yes, you notice
Let's
that
say-
too. There on that buttress, there is a fruit bat.
Indeed, amongst other imagery, if you notice, the way that the body is positioned does appear to be hanging upside down, much akin to a bat, as you would say.
More notably, a bat about to drop and descend into the hunt.
Indeed, and we all know that bats typically hang upside down to hibernate. However, this one appears to have missed his mark, so to speak.
Or perhaps was ambushed? What kind of message could the killer be sending here?
Character, I'm so glad I gave you guys an outlet. This is beautiful.
Do you think it's time for another clue?
Yes, why don't we have a NOLA roll for it? Oh, not roll for it. If you
Discover
have a
it.
D20 on you?
I mean, I have all my dice.
Oh yeah,
I'll roll it.
I can easily grab one.
Yeah. Okay, go for it. Go for it. Roll it, and then reveal it.
Okay.
I assume you have the list up.
Yes, I do. Go. Oh, 20.
Starting start with 20.
VHS of Frasier.
A VHS of Frasier.
Reveal it to us in character. Come on.
So I go.
It has to be more important than the picture.
Yeah, so I go walking around the room and I notice an area where dust has been frequently removed. And I pick up the VHS.
Now's no
Here,
time to be dusting, woman.
I'm not dusting. I'm inspecting where the dust is not. Here. This VHS seems to be most important to him. It has been frequently moved.
I am unfamiliar with this television program.
I'm unfamiliar with this object.
I'm unfamiliar with television.
So it appears we are all at a loss.
Well, and yet we know definitively this matters.
Yes.
Certainly is quite peculiar that we have a, so to speak, Sherlock Holmes from the future, and a particular item that doesn't belong in this time period.
Well, in the
If you know
future,
what I mean.
everything is just streamed. There's no need to hold onto physical copies of stored data.
Interesting.
Yes.
So what era of media would this fall under then?
Somewhere between, I believe, RDJ and MLD.
Somewhere along
Yes, somewhere
the
in
Sherlock
between.
Holmes spectrum, it's Wiggins in the far past. On the other end is
Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century.
And right in between the rest of everyone else.
There's a VHS copy of an episode of Frasier.
There we go. We've
Or
done
like
it,
a
boys.
whole season of Frasier would more likely be a box set.
Yeah, ooh, a box set of Frasier. That's what's odd about it. These things normally come in sets.
Yes, it's only the one.
Well, what episode is it?
What a mean thing to make
I've
someone
never-
improv.
I've never watched Frasier.
You've heard of yes and get ready for yes, now do it, coward.
Well, I can look it up right now.
Halloween episodes of Frasier.
There are Halloween
I'm gonna
episodes of Frasier.
Scroll to a random one.
I've watched like 3 episodes of Cheers, and Frasier was in none of them, so I don't know what's going on.
Not that one.
There was an episode that was apparently titled. There's a couple. Hang on a second. I'm reading an article about it. Bear
Yeah.
with me.
Really?
The
So
first
we're
one that I
funny.
looked up was somebody handcuffed to a stripper.
Ah,
Let's see. There's an episode called Interview with a Vampire.
What's the synopsis?
Oh, it's on the back of the VHS.
It would be. It would be, actually.
I haven't owned a VHS in a while.
Oh boy, this is interesting. This is, I don't know if this is a real thing, because they're talking about actors who I don't think were popular during, Yeah, I think this is a made-up thing from a podcast. Ignore me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
Okay. That explains why it didn't give me an episode when I tried to search it.
yeah, we were all looking for it.
They're talking about, like, Brie Larson, and I was like, I don't think she...
Ah,
during the
old
episodes.
negative 5-year-old Brie Larson. Starring a fetal Brie Larson.
I
When did
think
the show
she's
come out?
Definitely older than 1993, though, so she would
Ah.
have been born.
Yeah, the show's not as old as I thought it was.
No, I thought it was older too.
I thought it was
I think
like
Seinfeld's the one that's like from the 80s.
Season 10, Episode 5, Tales from the Crypt.
There we go. We've done
Synopsis.
it, my boy.
We've done it. We've
Synopsis?
deciphered the text. I'm trying to find that right now.
Okay, cool.
In my defense, I don't know how to read. Having said that, from my awesome detective skills, I can tell you that the synopsis. That's the storyline on IMDb. The official synopsis was just 2 battles of pranks are touched off at Halloween. One between Frasier and Bulldog, and another between Gertrude and a neighbor's son.
That's also what I found.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, who
Bulldog
knows?
is bathed in glory after playing a practical joke on Frasier by replacing his BMW with a replica that has been smashed up. Frasier is humiliated and determined to get his revenge. His initial plan, which involves using a red balloon to cause Bulldog gradual psychological distress, meets with scorn when he explains it to Roz. He then decides to set up a terrifying scene in the KACL basement, where Bulldog is working now, involving actors dressed as zombies.
I'm gonna guess this is you recapping after we watch a full episode.
We sit down and watch. And we pop it into the very clear available VHS like VCR player, the CRT TV.
I
So
watched the whole thing.
The displaced dust means this hasn't been here very long. Perhaps it's some kind of message the killer is trying to send us. This crime is not what it seems. Perhaps it is the illogical escalation of a larger prank war.
Or indeed, a way of revenge.
Or perhaps someone here is undead. Just an idea.
And why would you come to that conclusion?
Yes,
Well,
why
it
would you
was
come to that
about-
conclusion, young man?
It was for no reason whatsoever, but also because, there was the theme of zombies. I'm not undead. I'm just a little boy.
Indeed,
Poke the
Wiggins.
corpse, see if it's undead, child.
Leave no stone unturned. Agreed,
I
Wiggins.
poked the naked man's corpse.
Well, if they were truly undead, I think that silver would be able to reveal their true nature.
You're a woman. Do you have any silver on you
Uh,
to keep werewolves at
No.
bay?
no.
Yes, the thing we all believe in,
Indeed.
Yes.
Amongst the other things that we've talked about this evening, was, undead being allergic to silver, so to speak. As opposed
Yes,
to,
everyone knows that.
everyone
Famous.
knows-
Everybody
everyone
knows
that
this.
famously, the undead are weak to silver.
Yeah.
Truly, truly.
I'm gonna go check out more stuff, and by that I mean I'm gonna roll a clue prompt now. Now that I've watched a full episode of Frasier.
It's itching to get back into this room.
Okay, that's actually perfect. I just haphazardly walk into the kitchen. I'm not discovering a mystery. I'm just gonna make myself food, and I go, "Good gods!"
What is it, boy?
That's right. I'm polytheistic. That's a new lore about Wigan.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just what I do in real life. My bad. He stumbles
What in the
in
Z are you talking about?
carrying the most important evidence so far: a half-eaten sandwich.
A half-eaten sandwich.
You know what
Evidence
this
that
means,
someone
don't
was
you?
in a rush. Or caught off guard.
Hold on.
Tell me, Wiggins, what is on the sandwich?
It appears there's ham,
Hmm.
tomato,
Solid start.
entire cloves of garlic,
Oh my.
and mayonnaise. It's disgusting.
Well,
No hot sauce.
that's
Conclusion?
a true crime
Caucasian.
here. There's mayonnaise.
Quite a pungent concoction that somebody has created in the kitchen.
Yes. Will someone else please hold this? It is gross.
Why, young Wiggins? Why don't you like
I-
this sandwich?
Well, I just don't like garlic.
You don't like garlic.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, there
Indeed,
does
Wiggins,
seem
I
to
do
be an
agree.
excessive amount
Yeah.
of garlic.
The addition of garlic to the sandwich does seem to be out of place.
At least a garlic butter, but even that sounds gross.
It has really thrown the aromatic portion of the sandwich out of balance.
Other
I'm
homes, have
starting
you
to
ever
worry
left
that
a
we have the
sandwich
same
on?
quirk.
Other homes, have you ever left a sandwich half-eaten?
Personally, no, but I also personally don't eat that much. Typically,
I don't get to eat very often at all.
My mother raised me to always finish my food. There would be only a few circumstances in which I would not completely eat a sandwich like this.
Generally speaking, I am pretty hopped up on opium. So,
I forgot I used to do that. There's no greater cleanse than a 200-year bath in honey. You must try it.
Wiggins, if you're hungry, feel free to scrape the garlic from the sandwich.
Here, Wiggins, have the sandwich.
I start picking out entire clothes.
Other homes, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to run by a hypothesis.
I'm all ears.
Our victim was eating a sandwich when their lover, the Victorian enthusiast in the picture, came for Hankus Pankus. They sat down and watched an episode of Frasier and then got busy. And then, for some unforeseen circumstance, the male was hung by his heels and stabbed through the gut. As a form of some kind of devilish prank. Or ritual of some kind. Ideas?
Indeed.
Thoughts?
We're missing a few steps between the sandwich and the body.
Yes.
There seems to be a sort of evolutionary step progressing the crime from a garlic-filled sandwich to hanging a body upside down, slicing its belly open, and allowing its arms to splay like a bat.
Well, I've done some times in the sex crimes division in the future, and shit gets crazy.
I'm sure.
Is there any
watch
evidence of
this show.
someone
Only you
else
knows
in
what the
room?
future holds.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is there like any evidence that someone's been in the room? Like, I want.
Why don't you roll for
Why
some
don't you roll for
can-
clues?
you
Actually,
can
no,
roll
I
for,
haven't
like,
rolled for clues
clues.
just yet. I'll do it.
Oh, okay.
I think James hasn't rolled for a clue yet.
Well,
I
you
am
rolled on my
absolutely fine. I'll
behalf
get there.
originally. So,
I
I
didn't
mean,
roll
if James
for it.
wants to do it.
I don't care. I'm having a blast here, talking
Great,
shit to all the
I love
other Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, there's something so because if it was all Spider-Mans or something, they would all work together. But all Sherlock Holmes,
Sherlock Holmes
so
are
little-
all Sherlock Holmes would be kind
places.
of dickish to each other.
Right?
Exactly.
I am not
Okay.
dickish. I am impish and whimsical. Thank you.
And then
Wiggins,
I
put
am-
down that sandwich immediately.
I drop it to the ground.
I do believe, and I lift up the bread, and scrape some of the mayo off, and put it on a lens and put it underneath a microscope. Great Scott! This mayo is laced with a potent aphrodisiac.
Did you roll?
I rolled a half-eaten sandwich.
That's good improv.
Clue number 4, half-eaten
Okay.
sandwich number 2.
I think I've been writing down these clues. I need to make sure I get them all.
I can
Yeah.
read them off for you if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Like
for it.
how
Okay,
I'm
let's
the
recap.
closest to a Watson.
Allow,
Yeah,
me,
recap.
allow me to recap what we have discovered so far. Clue number 1, we have a faded image of a lady in a dress, potentially a recreation of a Gothic style. Clue number 2, we have a VHS cassette of an episode of Frasier in which Frasier enters a prank war on Halloween. Clue number 3, a half-eaten sandwich. Clue number 4, continuing evidence from the half-eaten sandwich.
It's parentheses, aphrodisiac mushroom, aphrodisiac mayonnaise.
A little Spanish fly in the mayonnaise.
Okay, but what is this one's important. What is an aphrodisiac?
I get down on one knee and I place his hand on his shoulder. No.
Young Wiggins, an aphrodisiac is something that adults use to get themselves aroused in order to perform episodes of coitus.
Thank you. I don't know why you didn't tell me that. There's a dead corpse with his bits out.
Alternatively, Wiggins, an aphrodisiac could be added to someone's food supply in order to elicit a sexual reaction from someone who does not consent to it.
Indeed.
It's a powerful drug, and a dangerous one at that.
It could also be used to increase their heart rate, past which their heart can function.
I go over and I
Start
go,
writing this down.
I walk over and I dip my finger in the mayo. It still tastes like garlic. And then I walk over to the body and I dip my finger in the blood and lick and take a little taste of the blood as well. It's like, it does appear that the consumer of the sandwich appears to be our victim here.
I sniff his armpits. I concur.
Oh, well, hold on.
Okay, so when you eat a lot of garlic,
garlic
you can
makes-
actually
garlic
smell
makes you
garlic
stinky.
smell on their perspiration.
Yeah.
Ow.
Garlic will make
God.
As an
garlic will
Italian, I
make
thought
you
you would
stinky.
know.
Ugh.
as the
Gross.
Resident
of the
Italian.
room.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Gross. I've never really thought about my own garlic stench before. Well, so we know how they were brought to this room. We still don't know why, and we still don't know who this lady in the dress is, as the image is faded.
Well, I do believe she is our killer. And one sick bitch at that.
And we don't necessarily know whether she was the killer or whether she may be a second victim.
All we know is that she's associated with the victim.
We do know of an association, which might be a lead in itself.
A possible
Perhaps
sexual
we should-
association, in which case, why would she need to use an aphrodisiac on her partner?
Indeed.
Indeed.
Curious.
I
Quiet.
think,
James,
I
would you like
do
to roll for a
believe-
clue?
as I say, I do believe we need to dig into this further.
Just a little more.
Get the sandwich again, motherfucker. Get
Get the sandwich. Roll an 18, I dare you.
Nope. So as I'm kind of searching around, I find, walking over towards the door frame or the windowsill. I notice as
It's like a bay window.
yeah, there's a big bay window, and I lean down and I scrape my fingers along and interesting. I pull out my notebook and I start scribbling notes.
What on earth have you got there, old boy?
I do believe I have found chalk dust.
Chalk.
A simple talcum chalk dust. To be associated with the windowsill, I would assume that this window has been open from the outside.
Why
Which
don't
would
we all
imply
gather towards the window?
Maybe perhaps a gymnast
A gymnast.
entering the window from such a height. The gymnast would use chalk on their hands in order to prevent their hands from getting sweaty and thus slipping.
Ah, a
So they are-
gymnast. I heard a gymnast, which I thought was.
I
a
also
name for
heard
chimney
gymnast
sweep.
initially.
A gymnast.
A chimney sweep. That's what my brain.
Going alongside the location of this chalk, which would imply, again, a gymnast entering the window from an interesting height. Somebody with a powerful build of a gymnast could also hang a body upside down.
So could someone with the strength of a vampire? Just throwing
So,
ideas
clue-
out there. I don't know.
If anyone was wondering, clue number 5 was chalk dust.
Chalk.
Yeah, I got the list, so I assumed as much. So
You all are quite fascinated with superstition.
I'm 12, so I think I have a pretty good. And he's from the future.
The
And I don't
imagination
think
of a
you
young
two are from
child.
the same time
Truly
period
baffling.
either. I'm not sure about you two, but I think you're also from different time periods.
So a gymnast came in and accosted a man who was under the effects of an aphrodisiac, watched an episode of Frasier, and then hung him by his heels and impaled him in the stomach. Stripped him naked as well. What could it all mean?
All right, lady, I need you to hold my ankles, and I start to climb out the window.
Hold on, hold on.
I'm looking for clues.
What on earth are you doing, Wiggins?
And this is actually good evidence. I reached, I'm just like my feet hanging out of the window. I stand back up, holding a revolver.
What on earth?
The murder weapon?
I found this taped outside to the wall.
What an unusual place to
I'm
hold
not aiming at
person.
anyone. I'm just aiming it at.
Okay, we're going to remove that. Take a handkerchief and just slowly pull it from your head. Okay, there we go.
Finders keepers.
I open up the cylinder for the revolver and notice that there are 2 shots missing. This gun has been fired recently.
I'm gonna
or
take my
somebody is-
pen and start to gently examine the wounds in the stomach, noting that there are in fact 2 distinct holes where once on initial glance thought there was only one.
I'm going to join you, and I'm going to notice from the back is, well, in the front, it does appear that there may have been a knife wound. That could have been a deceit. This appears to be an exit wound leading out from behind near the 5th and 6th vertebrae. And I go over and start digging into the wall, and it appears that we do have a slug in the wall.
Which means, and I take my pen and I dig a little deeper and pull out the slug that remains in the body.
Gross.
Yes, very gross. Ugh.
Indeed.
Did you know that there are species of bats that enjoy suckling on the blood of calves? They take tiny
know a lot
bites
about
on the
bats.
ankles. Oh yes, it's a particular hobby of mine.
So you're fascinated with chiropterology.
Yes.
You're also fascinated with bats. Interesting. It seems we all rolled 2.
I do agree. Well,
We all love bats.
It does seem that we have an issue regarding nobody having heard the gun sound. We all know that, so to speak, bats are quite good at echolocation. So,
Indeed.
Is there
So we have
anyone
no
under
reports
the
of
apartment that
gunfire.
we can ask?
Well, I can try to climb into the window if you hold my ankles again.
No,
you're not
no,
going
no,
out
no,
the
no.
window again.
Wiggins, we'd like to stay within the room, please.
My question is, why re-tape the gun outside the window? Unless they meant to come back and retrieve the gun. And perhaps kill again?
Perhaps the lady with the dress. We never established a name for her, and I was trying to think of one.
My Sherlock takes the frame and jimmies it open. What a lovely name, Miriam.
Perhaps they were coming back to kill Miriam, and she was a victim more than a criminal.
Or we have a situation in which Miriam taped the gun to the outside, allowing the gymnast to climb up the wall, retrieve the revolver, lay waste to his victim, and then proceed to exit on the same location, retaping the revolver to be retrieved later by Miriam.
So you're saying there's a duo involved?
An accomplice, yes.
Pair of ne'er-do-wells.
Shouldn't we keep the solution to
It's okay, use your words.
simplest answer? There we go.
Occam's razor, I think, is what it's called.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know what space is, but I know what Occam's razor is.
You're very
you
I've been
eliminate
reading
the
very
impossible.
specific books.
Yeah.
We must eliminate the impossible, remaining the truth, no matter how improbable.
That was poetic.
That is an iconic quote of mine.
Leave no stone unturned, I agree.
Eyes and brains, dear
Perhaps.
Wiggum. Eyes and brains.
Perhaps someone who didn't find the revolver should look for an additional clue. Also,
You
by
know
the way,
what?
if I didn't say it, this keeps going until we figure out who the vampire is.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we're getting there.
oh, okay.
I have my suspicion, but I can't confirm it yet.
As do
I
I.
also have my suspicions.
Alright, I'm rolling and. Okay, let's see. What? Oh no! Oh, okay.
Sandwich again. Sandwich again.
Okay.
Sandwich the third, sandwich.
It's not Sandwich the Third.
Is it Gun the second?
He's my Sherlock 22 is what we're just gonna call him, like Soldier 76, but Sherlock 22 is going to pace back and forth alongside the bed, and then out of the corner of his eye he spots something uncharacteristically yellow in the room, and his eyes go up
No.
towards the rear end of the victim, and with his glove extracts a perfectly ripe banana from the victim's rectum.
As soon as you said yellow, I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I know. As soon as you said it too, I was like, that's gonna be the weirdest clue if we roll that one.
Oh no. Okay.
Clue item number 8, a perfectly ripe banana found in the victim's
Somehow
rectum.
more important than the gun. We gotta say that
Somehow
up
more
front.
important than the gum.
So it seems that our killer was sending them a message as well as us. Banana in the butt. Obviously a euphemism for a gay lover.
Which also explains the gymnast, a common miscalculation of the time.
A gymnast.
Maybe we have a vengeful ex-lover. Also, very peculiar that we have a connection between the bloodletting of a vampire bat and the fruit of a fruit bat.
Indeed.
You know a lot about bats too.
Indeed.
Tell me, Ligon, what do you know of bats?
They flap their wings and they scream a lot. I was raised on the streets. I would like to remind everyone.
Let me see. Now, if I'm not mistaken, a banana is an excellent source of one vitamin D.
I believe that the one you're looking for is potassium when it comes to banana.
Oh,
It's the one that it's most known for.
perhaps.
But bananas are good for all sorts of vitamins.
That's what we're all supposed to be British, should be vitamin, but I'm neither here nor there on this.
Vitamins.
Yeah, shut up, Garage.
should also say aluminium or whatever.
Aluminium.
Yeah. There's all kinds of British words. Depending on the time period as well, we might not have been fully anglicized. I'm not gonna get into this.
So this banana was truly not as funny as I thought it was going to be.
Well, we discovered that he possibly has a male lover. So.
Perhaps.
Oh.
A vengeful
Or
male
perhaps.
lover.
Or perhaps he's the uncle of a monkey.
Again, no stone unturned.
No stone unturned.
Yeah.
But we're going to put that one on the back burner, okay?
Even I know that's ridiculous.
You will have seen stranger things in the future if you or where I come from. How I wish my robot
Indeed.
Watson were here.
A robot.
Kind of like a Watson.
I'm sorry?
I know a Watson, and I kind of feel the same book trope.
Really, Biggins?
Yeah.
What medical degree do you have?
Well, one time one of my friends was bleeding, and I covered it with leaves, and it stopped. So it's kind of medicine.
Yes, very good, Wiggins.
I cannot believe Scotland Yard let this child on a crime scene.
Oh, they didn't let me.
I'm not quite entirely sure that he was sent for in the first place. It almost seems like he followed this.
Nope.
New Scotland Yard sent me back in time for this case.
It almost
I
seems
was-
like this was more of a case of following Enola here into the crime.
This lady traded me outfits, and I was curious what she was doing with that, so I just kind of followed.
Makes
Well, I
sense with the
needed a
lovely,
disguise.
the handsome dress you have on, Wiggins.
I curtsy.
I do think it's high time you two exchange clothes back.
Right in front of these men. No.
There's a restroom over there. Don't be indecent, woman.
Find a clue in the restroom. Do it, coward.
Find a clue in the restroom.
Yes, I
I'm not sure why you're having such delicate sensibilities, considering that we have a corpse within the room with its dangly bits hanging out completely for everyone to see.
My innocence is ruined.
We're all men here, except for her.
And I bring Wiggum into the bathroom. I pull the shower curtain closed so I can change in the bathtub. And let's roll for a clue.
What's in the bathtub?
What's in the bathtub? That gothic
Bizarrely
bathtub.
shaped stain.
What's in the bathtub?
Ah, God damn it.
I'm sorry, a what?
A bizarrely shaped stain.
Okay.
Introduce it to us. Go for it.
So I finished changing, and then I'm like, policeman, yeah, come
I'm
here,
12.
boys.
Oh, okay.
I have found something in the washroom.
That stain sure is bizarrely shaped.
Indeed.
Yes.
I reach down and again swipe a ungloved finger through the stain.
This
Interesting.
Sherlock Holmes
I pull-
died at 30
I pull
from
Wiggins
tetanus?
aside. I pull Wiggins aside and say, I do not mean to alarm you, but I do think the younger version of myself may in fact be a vampire.
Oh, why would you think that?
He shares your aversion to garlic. It seems
Well, yeah, it's gross.
that aside, he also seems to know a fair bit about bats.
Well, you know a fair bit about bats. Are you a vampire?
Yes, but I love garlic.
You're a vampire! I sprint to
I love garlic! No! Get back here, child!
I have the revolver. I don't know how to use it.
Put the gun down!
So it does say in the game rules that players continue investigating until someone's accused of being a vampire.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna keep going. I go, hold on, everyone. Come out here. Forget the stain. It's no longer important.
Wiggins, please be careful. That firearm is loaded.
Yeah, it'd be weird if it wasn't. I'm using it for a threat.
Okay, let
Why
the,
everyone is threatening us,
the,
Wiggins.
the deranged
No,
child has a gun. Let us all
Hold
keep
it.
our heads.
Holding up my coat and a handkerchief.
Holding up my ionizer.
Wiggins,
I
please.
believe, I believe that this weird future man is a future vampire.
I am no such thing.
Okay,
What
so we have
evidence do you have to present?
we have entered the final scene, so I'm just going to
Final
explain
scene.
it. When the player thinks they can prove who is the vampire, which I don't, but I'm stuck playing an idiot. Accuse them and present their evidence. If that player is not a vampire, they explain why they have their suspicious quirk, and then they in turn must accuse someone else of being a vampire. When a vampire is revealed, or when the last non-vampire is accused, that player explains how they have solved the actual crime. Other players chime in with details, and no one mentions vampirism again at all. Finally, the players describe how their 4 Sherlock Holmeses work together to capture the criminal. So I am starting by accusing and explain the bat thing, which you said means vampires. You pretty much confessed.
I have done no such thing, dear child. Put down the gun.
Well, then explain your fascination with chiroptery.
Turns.
I've always marveled at their ability to echolocate. Okay. And in the future, I am working on similar technologies using sonography to map out unseen areas before me so that I may case them before I even case them. This is why I have extensively studied their inner ear, their brains, and in certain cases, their wings in order to replicate their ability of flight so that I may utilize it in a similar vein for my studies in the future. Now, this one, and I point to the notorious RDJ,
Okay.
seems to hate garlic and has a similar interest in bats. Would you care to explain yourself? And I arm the ionizer.
Indeed. While I too share a love for chiropterae, the sinuous wings and the multiple uses, medicinal uses. No, most notably the most recently discovered use of vaccines from their blood.
Recent, huh?
Ah, topical.
While I will say at this time, I do hate garlic. And I open my mouth to reveal a set of fangs.
I knew it!
Do you have a problem with vampires? I can't remember. Are vampires
Which can
still
only-
those?
Which can only mean, and then I open my mouth and reveal also fangs, because I'm from the future, and if he's a vampire, and he's a past version of me, I must also be a vampire and forgotten.
You haven't been turned yet?
Well,
Okay,
no,
well,
I
since
would have
you're-
been, I would have been ancient. It would have been part of the reason why I was able to survive in honey for 200 years, and then get reanimated.
Indeed. Wow.
I lean over and I tug on your dress to get your attention. I go,
Yes.
"Are you also a vampire?"
No, child, I am not a vampire.
Private, arms the ionizer.
I trust you entirely. And then I aim the gun back at.
I guess that just does leave Imelda with explaining the case.
No,
in
that
its
actually
entirety.
the vampire is supposed to explain the case.
Oh, well then that's our DJ's turn then.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't specify that the vampire is the one that did it. It just happens
No,
to be
you're
that
not.
I happen to
No,
be a vampire.
you're
No,
You just
it's
have to be the one-
completely
I got
superfluous.
you.
Yeah, the vampire is completely unnecessary in solving the mystery.
Okay, so I walk back over and it's like, indeed, that revolver is not going to do much good to you now, boy. And one finger push the gun back down. However,
Aw,
we do still
stow the
appear to have a
ionizer.
case. We do still appear to have a case here. Now, amongst our love for bats, so to speak, it does appear that our victim and his perpetrator also appear to share a similar love. As we can see within the Gothic decor, amongst other things, we have, as future me has pointed out, multiple instances of fruit bats and decor across the room. We do also have the instance of said fruit being incorporated into what may potentially have been a love-making scene. We have, again, our evidence of a half-eaten sandwich, unfortunately laden with garlic. Also, unfortunately, laden with a potent aphrodisiac. We have a gun taped to the outside wall. We have 2 shots missing from it, both embedded within the victim. We have chalk along the side of the wall, which we have a faded image of a woman in a gothic dress. Indeed, I believe that we have reached a turning point in the case. I believe that at this point we have the case of unrequited love between a man, a woman, and a mister?
Tale as old as time.
Instead of a mistress, we have a mister.
Weird though, yeah.
In this case, we have Miriam, the woman in the image. As I slide more images off, more paperwork around the desk, we have signatures for a brand new house being purchased within the London area, co-signed between our victim here and Miriam. We have the gun taped to the outside wall, fingerprints, handprints, much too large for a woman. We have a woman who is not potentially strong enough to hoist a full-grown man by his ankles through a canopy bed, which can only mean that the person who has come in through the window indeed would have had to have been someone who was hired by Miriam and or was brought in himself and witnessed an act of pure passion. I crack open the window. I crack open the window again, and I reach down, and using my vampiric strength, hoist someone who's been hiding in the garbage outside the window. And here we have.
Isn't this a penthouse?
What's that?
Did you say this was a penthouse?
Out for flat.
I can't hear over everybody.
It's a top floor. It's on the top floor.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing you running down the wall as a vampire.
No, sauntering down with all the
and just
swagger
walking
of a
horizontal.
vampire.
Walking vertically down the wall, just walking down. Indeed.
Great Scott!
And what do we have here but a coward, unwilling to fess up to a crime of passion?
Younger me, we cannot hear you from down there.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
I was monologuing again.
I have a trembling man hanging by the collar as I walk him back up the wall. Or even him into the room. It's like, yes, good sir. I do believe that you have the unfortunate circumstances of walking into 4 exceptionally good crime solvers. Care to...
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
3 and a Wiggins.
Wow.
2, a woman and a child.
Wiggins did surmise that there was a vampire among us.
I was right. I wasn't right about who it was, but I was right that there was one.
Indeed, we seem to have a perpetrator here, so care to state your name? I don't know if anybody wants to throw a name out for poops and chuckles.
Finley.
Twiddly?
Finley.
Finley. Yes, Mr. Finley. Care to describe what you do for a living?
I'm a strong man. I do tricks.
And
I love men.
Do you fancy men or women?
Both, actually.
Indeed.
That fancy poof hanging from the bed there. He's in love with my beloved Miriam. When I saw they was gonna move in together out in the country, I just had it. Especially because he loved me first.
Indeed.
So will you admit that this revolver and this banana are yours?
The banana, yes. The revolver, no.
Would you admit that the revolver belongs to Miriam?
Yeah. She saw me. She came in on me hanging him up by his ankles and shot at me and missed. Twice.
I pointed the
Missed twice, hit the body twice.
Yeah.
Well, if
He was supposed to die by blood rushing to his head slowly and painfully, but no, he got shot in the stomach twice.
Well, not entirely what I expected. The answer does make sense.
Indeed.
Thank you, Wiggins.
There's just one more question. Why were there an aphrodisiac in the mayonnaise?
Sometimes adults just need special time, but they don't always have the energy for it.
You don't think he was masturbating to Fraser Crane, do you?
Oh,
It's entirely possible. Kelsey Grammer does have a sultry voice.
so you do know what Frasier is. Oh,
We
you
watched
probably
the
just
episode
watched it.
together.
We just watched an episode of it.
yeah.
Indeed.
Indeed.
I
This
have
was
some
a
mixed
strange
feelings.
case of a strange man and a strange triangle of sorts. Anyway, he crackles with electricity and goes back to the future.
Wiggins just shoots the guy in the leg. Like,
Oh! Oh, he shot me! Wait,
You're coming with me! And I grab his head. I'm not strong enough to drag him because he's a strong man. I look at the two of
Who's
you.
this child?
I just laughed so hard that I got lightheaded. It was so funny. Just shoots him in the knee. Everyone's like, "Oh!"
You're coming with me!
We must take him to the proper authorities.
And now he can't run away.
No, do you know what they do to sodomites in jail?
Off to Scotland Yard with you. I
No!
just hear that daylight is brimming, and
Just a woman and a child dragging a guy bleeding out of his leg to Scotland
Nothing
Yard.
to see here. Perfectly normal.
Miss Enola and Wiggins, I do believe that you can handle things from here. Sunlight is approaching, and I don't particularly like you ultraviolet rays. I will be heading home to sleep eternally.
Notorious RDJ, you you find a note in your breast pocket. If you ever think about sleeping in honey, here's the guy to call. And it's like a honey girl. So I'm just gonna headcanon it and saying that sleeping in honey for 200 years slowly saps the vampirism out of your body. Because chronologically, I must be a future version of you, and if you're a vampire and I'm not, something must have happened.
Found the cure, and the cure is in fact
200 years of honey.
it's bees. Bees is the cure.
Bees is the cure.
Bees are quite essential.
Bees are nice.
I don't know anything about bees. Hey guys, this episode's sponsored by Save the Bee.
Save the bees! Oh my.
Hey y'all, did you know that bees are no longer...
Save the bees.
So technically the story is wrapped up. If we want to pick different, it only took an hour. If you want to pick different Sherlock Holmeses and have zero prep
We want to
time.
do a round two? Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh shit.
I call Sherlock Gnomes.
Oh god damn it.
Yeah.
I'll be playing a more traditional Sherlock Holmes this time. I will be
Book
playing
accurate
the
Sherlock Holmes?
narrator. What?
The narrator?
Yeah, from the Neil Gaiman Sherlock Holmes pastiche. That's the name I said earlier, but is now currently lost on me.
Alright. Alright.
Yeah, they never give him a name, but he's heavily implied to be Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. And then you two?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Batman, do it. Be
Just
Batman.
be Batman.
That
Yes,
could just be bad.
that is completely valid. Especially if you get vampire again.
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying when you were before we started. We're like, I'm just gonna be Batman. It would make sense if I rolled love for bats. Is a bat enthusiast.
Is Batman.
Is Batman. Yeah, I'm just gonna be Batman.
The Study in Emerald. That's the name of the book in which it's just basically Sherlock Holmes.
So you're the quote-unquote narrator.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a 1.5 foot tall porcelain gnome in the likeness of Sherlock Holmes.
And Moss, you could of course be Detective Sam Morgan.
Detective Sam Morgan.
Morgan.
Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu! You can be Ryan Reynolds!
Yes!
Oh my god!
Okay, yes, Detective Pikachu.
Hell yeah, okay.
Said let's do it again, but less sensical.
Let's...
Okay, well.
Oh my goodness, this has been freaking awesome. So, I'm concerned that if I upload this to YouTube, I might get taken down, so I might just make this Patreon exclusive.
Why would it
For
be
the-
taken down?
Because we talked about ejaculate! And a banana shoved up butt!
Yeah, TOS stuff. I could
Perhaps.
Yeah,
about that.
If it gets
You got
taken
the-
okay, if it gets taken down from YouTube, it's going behind the paywall on Patreon.
Even better pitch. What if you released the first mystery on YouTube and say you can go to the Patreon for the second episode?
The first one has the banana
Oh.
shoved up a butt.
Never mind. That's
I
probably
I
fine.
think that's
One audio description of that is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
there's
not
no
showing
graphic
pictures.
detail of it.
Listen, I'm gonna do the plan where it's you know what, I'll upload the first half to YouTube and then the second half exclusively to Patreon. And if the first half gets taken down, that one also will go onto Patreon, but for free.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Radical.
speaking of, Do you guys have pitches for Patreon art this week?
Oh,
Oh
boy.
god.
Oh boy.
I
The
would like
banana in the
Wiggins.
butt.
Please, no.
Our particularly stained soccer
Mysterious Patreon art. Okay.
Okay.
Choice numero uno.
I'll take Wiggins shooting a man in the leg.
that's really funny.
Wiggins shooting a man.
Which I would like to point out would be the second time the Patreon is my character shooting someone in the leg. Because that happened in fucking ES Pizza.
Oh yeah.
My personal choice is Batman scaring Sherlock Gnomes under the bed as his entrance.
Batman.
The Batman
Boo.
under the bed.
The Bat Boogeyman.
The Bat Boogie. Yeah.
Bat boogie. Bat
Boogeyman.
Whoa, bat boogie.
Choice numero tres.
Are you completely opposed to the banana in the butt?
I mean, it's going behind a paywall, I guess. So I guess not.
Okay.
You want me to
Just
draw a
want-
banana shoved up a butt?
Yeah, dead body bleeding out onto the floor upside down.
Victim
with
number
banana in its
one is
butt.
how I'm going to describe it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Victim number one. It's gonna be interesting edit. I'm gonna have to edit this end bit onto the end of the first half.
Yeah.
We only picked one from the second half.
Yeah.
That's good. 'cause
Bat
that
Boogeyman.
means the people.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, God.
So if you
This
guys
was
want
great.
to vote on that, be sure to. I mean, if you're seeing this in the future, and it hasn't been taken down by YouTube, go to Twitter and vote, because democracy is good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Noodle, for bringing this game to us. Noodle, of course,
love it.
played Wiggins and the Shadow Man.
Curious. I have another gun.
I played Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock 22, otherwise known as Sherlock Holmes from the 22nd century, and Sherlock Gnomes. Moss Creature played Imelda Holmes and Detective Pikachu.
Enola?
Yeah, I know.
Nola.
Yeah.
Enola? Did I say Imelda?
Yeah.
Yes.
Enola Holmes. Yeah.
That's fine.
And then Video James played Notorious RDJ, Sherlock Holmes, and the Batman.
I'm Batman.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I'm
Kiss
Robert
your
Downey
dad
Jr.
square on the lips.
I'm Robert Downey Jr.
The Notorious
I'm Sherlock
RDJ.
Holmes.
Sherlock
I played-
Gnomes.